Very welcome. You are still watching TVC Breakfast, and right now it's time for the newspaper review, where we take a look at what's happening in today's newspaper headlines. We begin today with the Nation newspaper. On the Anambra election, what does the Nation have for us today?
Well, it's still talking about...
It says, "My victory means elections are getting better," says Soludo. His re-election is testament to visionary leadership, says President Tinubu. Very interesting. Anambra is still very much trending. It's almost like we can't get enough.
Indeed.
Today on News Direct, give me a moment. Opposition kicks as Soludo is re-elected Anambra governor in landslide victory. Landslide victory, very strong terms over there. On the Daily Times newspaper, give me a moment. Tinubu, others congratulate Soludo for winning. I must say, Soludo himself was very happy about winning. Did you see his victory?
Before
On This Nigeria, it's still on Anambra elections. It says, Anambra, Soludo knocks them out. Labour Party's Mogalu kicks, alleges vote buying by APGA's candidate. APC still consulting. No election is without its dramas and party politics. We'll take it to the Hope newspaper, where it's still on the Anambra election. Anambra Gubapo, Governor Soludo joins legends, sweeps all 21 council areas. That is not a small feat. I'm seeing some sub-headlines here. We have the UK envoy visits Ondo, impressed with atmosphere. We need all the global attention we can get right now. We need the good PR. Yes, I'll say that's great. And also this story on the Hope that we discussed on the banter, it says, the NDLEA arrests wanted drug kingpin, dismantles Lagos synthetic drug laboratory. We'll talk about that again. I'm going to take it to the Punch. Punch is one of my favorite papers, by the way, guys. They always give us the juicy details.
They're called Punch.
Yes, my father used to read Punch a lot. PDP crisis, 3,000 delegates set for high-stakes convention. PDP is gearing up, as per usual. And on the Platform Times, give me a moment. Terror deaths drop by 81%, and these statistics are given by the presidency. With everything going on with our relations with America, I would say this is a pretty good headline, and we are now seeing data being given to us as opposed to press releases, which is great. We'll take it all the way over to the Blueprint paper, where it says, Christian genocide claim is a political tool being wielded by lobbyists. This is by the NSCIA. 1,200 Muslims killed in Zamfara, Katsina, and Sokoto. Violence is driven by criminality, poverty, and it urges U.S. support. Now, this is very different from what we are seeing from other papers. They are still focusing on the issue of the Trump threat, as I like to call it.
And we'll talk about it, too.
Absolutely. I'm going to take you all the way to the Leadership newspaper. Please bear with me. The Leadership newspaper says, drum roll, are you guys excited? Groups kick as Islamic Council says there is no Christian genocide in Nigeria. Award affirms our outstanding governance strides. This is Governor Obasani of Kaduna State. It used to be a hotspot for insecurity. We're now seeing that the tide is turning under Governor Obasani, which is great to see. And he got an award for that. Congratulations, sir. I'll take you to the Daily Independent. Sky-high fares in Nigeria blamed on expanding web of FG levies. Nelson, our businessman, you're going to tell us more about that. And finally, the Sporting Life paper. If Ria was here, she'd be all over this paper. On Sporting Life, we have Osimhen. Moving on now, team. So let's begin today with the Nation newspaper. Anambra elections. Nelson, what can you tell us about what happened on ground? You were right there. The papers can say one thing, but it says, Soludo says, my victory means the elections are getting better. Would you agree, or is this a lofty claim?
Well, to an extent, to an extent, it was largely much better than the previous one in terms of peace and order. But in terms of number, it is dropped. In fact, our head of news operations, Mr. Uzononoye, did a breakdown of elections in Anambra State from 1999. And year after year, we keep seeing a drop in turnout. And that's exactly, what happened here. Out of 2,788,864 registered voters, just, I think about 8% or thereabout came out to actually vote on election day. And so that's a little bit sad. That tells a lot about what is going on in Anambra. especially with some of the internal insecurity challenge they have been having, for a while now. So on that part, it didn't look pretty good. However, we commend the Anambra for the peaceful conduct. They came out, they voted. Of course, I wasn't personally really expecting that a Soludo would be toppled. APGA, in this country, apart from what happened during Goodluck Jonathan, we've really not seen an incumbent, another example,
I was about to say.
in Ekiti State, we've really not seen much of incumbent, governors being unseated from their seat. So I really wasn't expecting that would happen in APGA. However, Soludo has another opportunity, being re-elected as a governor of the state, to keep on doing the good work. We had all the candidates on our network here come to, reel out their manifestos and so on and forth. They had a lot of things to say against Soludo. Of course, it's normal that would be the case. But for me, Professor Soludo should look into what they said, work on it, and then use the next 4 years he has to make the life of Anambra people better. A total of 8 years should be good news for Anambra.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nelson. So passionate, because we are right there on the ground. Now, what we're seeing on these papers' headlines, they're sort of painting a pretty picture about the elections. It's landslide victory. It was great. News Direct is coming with something different. They tell us opposition kicks, Etoma, as Soludo is re-elected Anambra governor in his landslide victory. Sub-headline is, as Soludo vows bigger achievements after re-election, an APC candidate alleges vote buying. Now, the papers are one thing. Social media is very different. There were some minor disruptions that we saw on social media. Thankfully, they were quelled by law enforcement and INEC officials on ground. But Etoma, did you see anything that sparked your interest or went contrary to these, picture-perfect headlines that we're reading today?
Oh, yes. I saw a situation where somebody was caught with quite a lot of money. He was buying votes. He was buying votes. He was openly buying votes. And he was accosted by security operatives. The money confiscated for evidence, and he too was arrested. But that's on one side. But in an election where the incumbent wins all local councils, it tells a story. And then for the voter apathy you were talking about, it's actually, this election was actually an improvement. I must tell you the truth. It was actually an improvement. The last one that brought Soludo in as governor, he won by a little bit over 100,000 votes. But this one is 400 plus votes that he used in 400,000 plus votes that he used in winning. We didn't hear any major occurrence of violence and so on. However, the glitch I noticed was that they allowed too many people in some polling stations, and the IREV machine just couldn't handle the, the influx. Couldn't handle the influx. So that tells us that for every polling unit, we should have a limit of people that will be allowed to vote polling unit by polling unit, so that the IREV machine won't get so stressed like it did on Saturday. Beautiful election, if you ask me generally. It was a beautiful election. We didn't hear that anybody was killed, no house was burned, no, the regular things we hear during elections, we didn't hear them there. So it was okay. Absolutely, and
you've rightly just said right now that there were some mechanisms in place that could have been improved by INEC or whoever was in charge of the polling unit. The Daily Times right here says, Tinubu, others congratulate Soludo for winning. I don't know, but I don't think that our president is watching to see who won and who didn't. I think he's watching to see if INEC officials, the newly elected chairman, is doing a good job with the elections. I think he's looking for something very different.
Let me tell you, if you are Mr. President, you are looking out for everything.
Absolutely.
Right. You're looking out for INEC's performance. You're looking out for the results that will come out. You're looking out for all the political gimmicks that happen. You are looking out for everything. If you are Mr. President, you want a situation where you have a free and fair election. And this one, as he said, is a litmus test for Joash.
Absolutely. Indeed, Anambra decided, and that is what we like to hear. And in the Anambra, enjoy your leadership. We move on to this, Nigeria. The sub-headline here says, UK issues travel advisory for 16 Nigerian states. I saw that on social media. They were cautioning and saying, it's not safe. When they put out information like this, it can really shake the populace a little bit, because we're already dealing with these things. What do you make of this, Nelson?
UK government and any other government you know, in the world who have representatives in Nigeria would always do this. And that's why we have, as a country, we must continue to put our foot on the ground against insecurity, especially in the northern part of the country, a little bit in the southern part, you know, of the country as well, so that we will not have this kind of travel advisory that comes in sometimes by, especially UK government. They like doing, you know, doing this a whole lot. But generally, whether the advisory is there or not, I want to say that all across the country, you find other citizens of the world here. For instance, there was one time I accosted a U.S. citizen.
Accosted? You accosted, man.
Yeah, at Plateau Airport. We were actually there waiting to fly to Lagos, and I saw him eating spiced peppered steak meat. You know, so I walked up to him. I was pretty curious. I walked up to him and I said, "Oh God, what's going on here?" You know, it was quite peppery. So that's what caught my attention, that a white guy is eating such a peppery, you know. And he said he loved it. Now, when we got into the conversation, he relocated from the US, to Nigeria, has his children schooling in Plateau State. He lives in a remote part of Jos. So I asked him, I said, why did you? He said, you people Nigerians, you don't know what you have. I still have his number. A white man was telling me that. He said, my children came back one day from school and they said the teacher asked the class, how many of you want to move to the US? All the students raised their hands except the white kids.
That is hilarious.
So, when you look at that, now travel advice is great. We don't have nothing against it because we have our own peculiar security challenges. But we need to also understand that we have a lot in this country, so we need as a government to do what we must do to make sure it is safe for everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nelson, for that story. Your stories are always very fun. I'm still on this Nigeria, Toma, very quickly. The FCTA has given a 14-day grace period to violators of land use in Asokoro Tama. A lot of land disputes we're seeing right now in the FCT, unfortunately, under Governor Wike, and there's been a lot of tussles. What do you make of this? The
thing is that Wike is enforcing rules that have always been there that other administrators maybe didn't take seriously. And at a point, it became a norm. Everybody got used to it. I can go without paying my land use. I can go without doing this and all that. Wike is enforcing those laws.
Yeah.
So he's doing his job, and he's doing his job well. I am tempted to talk about the area where I don't think he is very strong, but that's not the issue on the table. So let's stick to the one that's on the table. He is doing the right thing, and he has given them another 14 days to respond. If you don't have the money, at least start a conversation with the FCTA.
Absolutely. Moving on to the Hope newspaper right now, one of my favorite papers, it says the UK envoy visits Ondo and they're impressed with the atmosphere. Very interesting. With all the bad press we've been getting recently, boys, I have to say that it's time that we focus on the good parts of our country. It's time that we focus on changing the narrative and rebranding, if you will. Of course,
remember, you know, the story we took last week, a company is trying to set up, you know, in Ondo State, a seaport, a free trade zone is also trying to open up there. So yes, look, like I said, we have our challenges, but that does not take away the good in the country. So we like you mentioned a bit earlier, Lamide, we want this kind of PR, you know, go around the country, like the atmosphere.
We have good atmosphere. To say that's very vague. You said impressed with atmosphere. What exactly is the atmosphere? Is it the roads? Is it the...
Just love the atmosphere, that's it.
See, as far as it is positive, it is good for Nigeria.
Especially at this time.
Yes, at this time.
Oh, boy.
To encourage Nigerians generally that these are the stories we should be pushing out, not the negatives. We do more of the negatives than stories like this.
Absolutely. It seems that today's papers cannot get enough of Anambra election, like the entire country. This headline says, Soludo triumphs in Anambra as ADC observers decry vote buying. That's very interesting. I want to just, there was a lady, I've forgotten her name now, Ifoma something, she contested and she only got 209 something votes, but she was such a good sportswoman. She came out, congratulated the Soludo and many other candidates as well. And so we want to just follow what the populace has said and not just decry these sorts of issues.
Yeah,
the election spoke for itself.
We had her as a guest on TVC Breakfast Saturday, one of those days. We had all the candidates, you know, on our network to tell us exactly what. So it's good that she did that. Yeah.
Yes. Moving on to the Punch newspaper. PDP crisis, 3,000 delegates set for a high-stakes convention. This convention, it must happen.
No, the convention has to happen. It is how do I put it? It's a pillar of party politics in Nigeria. Right. It's not just PDP only. Every other political party have their conventions. This is where their party leaders are elected. This is where serious decisions about the party is taken. So that we are having so much crisis surrounded around it makes it look a little bit cosmetic. But 3,000 delegates gearing up for the convention, that's a step in the right direction. If you
Nelson, very quickly, it says Makinde Wike camp, straight blows as delegates gear up for convention. This back and forth.
So
two heavy hitters there.
Right. So I'm expecting that when they get to the floor of the convention, they will sheath their blows in their pocket and bring handshakes together, because we want peace in the PDP so that they can stand effectively and play their role as an opposition party in the country, to be able to give the APC, a run for their time.
Absolutely.
We need that so that there could be some kind of checks and balance within, the leadership, the current leadership and an opposition party. So we want the PDP to be at ease, so that we can see the good that is coming up from that party.
We'll go on a very short break, and when we come back, we'll get into more interesting discussions and the newspaper review. Don't go anywhere.
The Renewed Hope Initiative RHI presents the RHI Green Nigeria Challenge. Go green today for a greener tomorrow. This national competition is in 3 categories. The household category is a tree planting competition amongst 11 frontline states in northern Nigeria. Each participating household in Adamawa, Borno, Bauchi, Gombe, Jigawa, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, Sokoto, Yobe and Zamfara states will plant a minimum of 1 tree to qualify, with a video evidence of before and after the tree planting exercise. 20 million naira will be awarded to the best household. Submission deadline is 20th December 2026. Community category will see local governments, local communities, schools and NGOs reclaim and transform degraded or abandoned areas such as dump sites, landfills, parks and their likes into green, vibrant gardens, parks and eco-friendly spaces. 50 million naira would be awarded to the overall best community group. Deadline for submission is 15th July 2026. State category will have all states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, excluding Enugu State, have a chance to address the growing threats to environmental sustainability and cleanliness. States will be judged based on the number of trees planted on major roads and inner streets and how clean they are. 100 million naira will be awarded to the best performing state. Already, Enugu State has 100 million naira for being RHI's model green state due to its greenery and cleanliness. Video evidence must be submitted by participating states on or before 20th December 2026. All entries must be directed to RHI Office, State House, Abuja, or email rhi.greenchallenge@statehouse.gov.ng. RHI Green Nigeria Challenge. Go green today for a greener tomorrow.
You're very welcome back, Nigeria. Before we went on a break, we were on the newspaper review and we're on the platform Times paper, where a lot is going on. Team, it says terror deaths have dropped by 81%, and these figures are coming from the Nigerian presidency. Over 13,000 insurgents have been killed and 124,000 others have surrendered in the past year. As well as that, 2.1 displaced Nigerians return home. You know, oftentimes when we look at this issue about insecurity and the terrorism that is going on in certain, and the insecurity is going on in certain parts of the country, we often forget the crux of the matter, and that is the people that are suffering all of this, not the statistics, not the narratives that, you know, America has about us. The people at the center of this, the people that have been displaced by insecurity, these people whose lives will never be the same. That is the crux of the matter when we talk about these things. And I like the fact that this headline is focused on that. You know, 2.1 million people, displaced Nigerians, have returned home. And I would love for the presidency to cover that and, you know, tell a story around this to really counter these negative narratives.
Yes, it is good we have such statistics, even though there are people in some quarters that will query the statistics because, hey, I think over the weekend or late last weekend, we had another news in southern Kaduna, unfortunately, you know, and immediately after stuff like this, you are getting these statistics. I think apart from telling us about the people that you have arrested, the ones that you have done this, we all know that these people have sponsors. Get one or two sponsors and use them as scapegoats. That will bolster some kind of confidence in government efforts in quelling insecurity. Yes, the foot soldiers, they are being arrested every day. I'm telling you the truth. They are being arrested every day, but the sponsors have not been. So let's get the sponsors.
Thank you so much, Chukwuma. I'm seeing another headline here, very interesting. Nelson, very quickly. Fayose visits Obasanjo in Abeokuta ahead of his 65th birthday, ending years of a political rift. At the end of the day, it all comes down to we are brothers. Let's leave this thing to one side, Joe. We're getting too old for this.
You know, I mean, Fayose and the former president, you know, should I say that I've been at loggerheads on some matters, but look, at the end of the day, the president, Olusegun Obasanjo, former president Olusegun Obasanjo, is a father, and Fayose is his son. You know, and so for him to have visited the man, I mean, that looks absolutely wonderful. We want to see this kind of peace in our political corridors, so that with that peace would come the right thinking to bring the dividends of democracy for the people. This is really important.
Absolutely. Now, moving on to one of my favorite papers. I'm lying. I'm telling you a lie because I don't.
You
Sporting Life.
You don't.
Liverpool ahead of Osimhen's chase. The PSG is ready to bid 249 billion naira for Osimhen, despite their strong interest in former Manchester United, Barca. I don't know what this paper is saying, guys, but go boys, go football.
This matter is back again on the table. Please do not leave my Osimhen alone. Let him be where he is.
For me, he is the best striker in the world.
Absolutely.
But the international rating says he is the third best striker in the world. So I don't know what they are talking about. People are ready to break their banks to get Osimhen to play in their team. So, it makes me feel so proud.
So if he was the third, why would they be breaking their banks to do so? But that is statistic. Osimhen is the guy right now. But hey, man, find your footing and deliver your best where you belong to. Yeah.
Osimhen, you're a star. We love you here at TVC Breakfast. Well, that's it for the newspaper review.